Growing up, I, like many other children, even at a young age, was eventually motivated to be in school. Many reasons that started my parents at a young age. Firstly, you have to complete the college thing. Growing up, I, like many other children, knew even at a young age of what was eventually going to await us beyond school. For many of us, this was installed by our parents since even a young, ripe age of being a toddler. First of all, you have to get to that point first, and that point in the middle between the transition of high school and college is something not people really worry about in their beginning years of high school or even middle school, and that's testing. For many of us, this has been started by our parents since we barely even began to walk. The path of getting jobs is not so easy though, since firstly you have to get to college and the hurdle keeps rising as prices for tuition increase and you may not necessarily have all of the costs you need covered and prepared for books, to supplies, to dorm and living expenses. Even the college tuition itself. So you're gonna need help, and this is where financial aid, including scholarships, come in. Now, of course, many scholarships pick and decide around your schoolwork and the holistic nature of the student to look at, but they also have to look at college testing. With so many factors surrounding even just test preparation itself, this is a look into the ACT test preparation structure here in the Phoenix Union Bioscience High School, and exploring the challenge here at Bioscience.
Okay, now how do you feel about the current state of bioscience?
Have been consistently improving over the 5 years that I've been here. I definitely think that there's room for improvement from an English teacher's perspective and helping students acquire skills for the English test while still doing the things that we do at Bioscience that makes us unique.
As far as I know, because I haven't been there on the actual Saturdays, as far as I know, it has a big effect if students will actually go. I know that the students who tend to show up more times tend to do better on their ACT tests. And last year that was the case where there were some students who on their pre-assessment were just like a few points lower than like getting full ride scholarships, and then they practiced and studied and did the practice test, and they ended up hitting their goal or exceeding their goal, and then that enabled them to get a bunch of out-of-state scholarship money.
So you mentioned like
In those terms.
definitely I agree. You
Personally, I would say that, just paying more attention to like direct grammar instruction. I've actually used a strategy that Ms. Varney came up with this year, having students take the lead on particular grammar concepts so that we have roughly a half an hour of practice a week. I started that in the second semester of this year. So that's probably the most direct thing that I'm doing in relation to the English test.
okay.
I think that there's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to achieve those kind of results. And I'm basing that comment off of pre-ACT data. And so we know that definitely need to continue to offer students the opportunity to practice, to take practice tests, to get feedback on these type of testing situations. So if I was just judging off the pre-ACT Um, I would say that the way that the English ACT is framed, in my opinion, the way to score well, to score at the highest levels on that particular test, which is, editing, revising, making choices about writing, but doing it under an extreme time crunch. I think that the style of teaching, we're not teaching to that test.
Yeah.
And so, I think that we focus more at the sophomore level in the writing workshop on revising skills, providing feedback, making choices in our writing, but like the very technical aspect of, do you know every rule of grammar that they might throw at you in the test? Like, we're not spending extensive amounts of time on that.
Okay, and next question would be our second to last. Do you feel satisfied with the system we have in place now for students in regards to the test prep? Or if you feel satisfied, do you think the school would benefit from something more long-term, more sustainable?
I think that we would benefit from something more systematic. So honing the current system, making tweaks where we can. So we meet in a department as English teachers, asking the question of where we might be more intentional, just in terms of focusing in particular on grammar, on skill building, but without detracting from the normal curriculum, the curriculum that we've been practicing over the past few years.
So lastly, this is my last question. It kind of goes with what you said last. Lastly, at Bioscience, there's a lot of focus on value on quote unquote abstract philosophical take on education on a holistic level. This works very well holistically for students, but in doing so, some concepts covered in the ACT and to an extent the SAT are then taking a backseat. Do you agree or disagree with this?
I think that if I'm hearing you right, I would agree that we only have so much time and energy, and the things that we focus on, for example, habits of mind, getting students to invest in their learning, collaborating, thinking critically about like a wide variety of topics, like particularly at the sophomore level where students are taking world history and the humanities course is broader in scope. I think we do trade one thing for the other in terms of the academic day. Is it impossible to find a balance within the academic day? I would just say that it's challenging.
Obviously that's where we hit really well. We hit the soft skills well. We also need to make sure we're giving students the hard skills too.
That happening.
Yes, and I actually was in one of the science meetings where they were looking at results from last year's ACT strands, and according to that, indicator, the ACT, in the 3 areas that the ACT measures, our students, only about half of our students are college ready based on their indicator. And so that may or may not be true, because that is one indicator. But it is something that has been vetted, and it's been, normed and researched to show there's a correlation between students doing well on those different content areas on the ACT and then doing well in their freshman year in college in those areas. So we want to stack the odds in students' favors. So what Mrs. Smith is doing is she is kind of embedding some of the structures of the ACT science test into what she's already studying. So she's not really changing her content. She's kind of marrying some of the question structures and the ways the questions are set up, and a lot of it's really heavy on graphs and data, reading data tables, graphs, making inferences based on those visual results. And so that tends to be what a lot of the questions on the ACT are framed as. Therefore, she's doing her students a huge benefit by giving them some exposure to that, and also trying to frame some of her own content in those question formats but it's also going to give her data on if students are doing what they, or know what they should know in her own class. So, I mean, you can go too far one way or the other, but I think we're trying to marry the best of test preparation, but also keeping our content sacred, because that's something that we believe in. Why we teach what we teach is important. It's, you know, we should be giving students the best of both worlds. We should be giving them the best of the soft skills and those holistic, you know, cool, innovative experiences, but we should also be preparing them to do well, to open doors for college, and to have the skills they really need their freshman year, which is supposedly what the ACT measures.